guys, welcome to Ringsiders Wrestling. I am Jamie, joined by Callum. Hi, Callum.
Hi, Jamie.
We have a very special guest today. He is Mr. Aaron Solow. Aaron, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So, I mean, we've been speaking to a few people recently, and with what's going on in the world with the pandemic and everything, wrestling has changed recently with how it's been presented and basically with how much wrestling's been going on in the world. So, how have you been finding it the last few months? I mean, I've seen your career before. I've seen where you've been wrestling, and you were quite active on the independents, and you've been wrestling with AEW on Dark. You've been doing work with New Japan. Have you found that you've been adapting to it okay as a professional wrestler, or have you been struggling to like make up for the time that you've lost? Because usually you'd be quite active. I'm guessing you won't have been as active during the pandemic.
Yeah, so as active-wise wrestling, like no, I haven't been active at all. So whatever you guys have seen on AEW Dark, that's the extent of my wrestling.
Really?
Like as far as like just physically being active, like I got really lucky. A lot of home gym equipment sold out, and I kind of sensed it maybe a week or two before everything sold out. So I was able to get myself a home gym. So that's been kind of mentally keeping me sane, where I could still be like active, where I'm like doing my workouts and stuff, like backyard and all that. But yeah, as far as wrestling, whatever you've seen on AEW Dark, that's as much as I've done during the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was. I've definitely followed your career before. Like I've seen you pop up in places that I've been watching, and when you showed up on AEW Dark, I thought that was really cool because it seems to me like AEW is a place that you'd fit in quite well, just from a fan's point of view. And the work that you did on Dark really made an impression. Is there any more? Can we expect that we're going to see you on AEW Dark anytime again soon, or maybe AEWDynamite, maybe challenging Cody for the TNT Championship?
I would love to tell you that yes, all that's going to happen, but to be honest with you, I have no idea. I did my stuff with AEW Dark. I believe I've had 4 matches.
Yeah.
Yes, I have 4 matches. And as of now, it's all just kind of up in the air. So I don't know what's happening. If they call me back, I'll be on the first flight back out there. But as of right now, it's just a kind of waiting game.
What was the experience like wrestling for AEW? Given that AEW Dark was your first appearance with the company, you had some good matches in that time. You made the most of your 4 matches. What was the experience like wrestling for AEW?
I loved it, man. Like, I really, really like it there. Like, everything seemed very cool. So I was there as an extra. Was, where I got the match for the AEW Dark, and like the way that company treats you, like they treat, like I was just there for the day. I'm contracted for the day, right?
Yeah.
They treated me like I was part of the family. Everybody from Tony Khan to Cody to FTR to from top to bottom, like everybody was super, super nice and very inviting. And Cody was actually the first person I saw when I got there. And we'd spoke, and we've been on shows like years ago, but I didn't think he would remember who I was, and he remembered everything. Like we filmed a video like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought like this would have erased from his memory. And like my old tag partner Ricky Starks brought it up, and he was reciting the word for word what we were saying in the promo.
Really?
Insane. But yeah, he was really cool. He came up to me, talked to me, and he was like, if you need anything, like he's like, my door's always open, just come in, talk. And yeah, it's a very, very cool, very comfortable environment there.
That's
yeah,
really...
we met Cody ourselves, didn't we, a couple of years ago? We did a UK tour, and we met him then, and he like you said, he was such a nice guy. It was just before All In, because we bought tickets to fly out, and we were telling him, and he literally took 5 minutes of his own time, and he was saying to us, "Oh, you've got to go to this place, you've got to go to that place."
Yeah.
It was just so nice. I knew in the 2 months later when we got there, we'd have forgotten everywhere he told us to go.
Yeah.
But Just the fact that he took that extra 5 minutes to like tell us, oh, you got to check this place out, and if you go down here, I think so cool, man, so cool.
Never heard a bad word about Cody Rhodes. Everyone has a positive Cody Rhodes story. Everyone who's worked with him, and it seems like he's just such a good person to be around backstage. Like he seems like a true locker room leader for AEW.
Yeah, it's because like Cody was obviously with WWE prior and all that, and then he had a great indie run, and then his stuff with Ring of Honor, New Japan. Like I think he's like that because he really understands like the current like big leagues and the current independents, and he treats everybody as if they're equal. It's not like I was here so I'm better than you and you were only here so you suck or any. Like he treats everybody like an equal, so it's really, really cool.
Is there anything that you learned from the experience of wrestling with AEW? Anything that you took away, given that AEW is a TV product? Obviously, it's Dynamite is filmed for TNT, but AEW Dark is a YouTube show that goes across Fight TV, all across YouTube. So I'm guessing, was it a different kind of environment that you used to? And if so, did you learn anything from that experience?
Yeah, so it was very weird with like the whole pandemic situation, just because it's like this is the big time company, but there was nobody in the crowd except for the people. So it was a bit weird in that sense. But overall it was a really, really great experience, and like everybody there gave a lot of great feedback. Like it's escaping my mind right now, but everybody had like something to say. So like you have a producer for a match who will kind of like help you like fine tune things, but like I forget who was my specific producer, but a bunch of producers came up to me to like, so they had their job was not to worry about me, but they still did. So that's like the environment there that I think is so great. Well,
you had a match with Scorpio Sky, and Scorpio Sky is a guy who I think many have pegged as a future AEW World Champion. What was it like being in the ring with someone like Scorpio Sky? Have you wrestled him before?
So Sky and I have been in a match. We've been in 2 matches before. Both, one was a tag match, one was a 6-man, both for a company called Wrestle Circus, which is now no longer.
Circus, yeah.
But Scorpio Sky, like, because I'm a California guy and so is he, but we live about 7 hours apart from each other. So I never ran into him on the independents while living in California. And he's somebody I've always followed. Like, he's been around for a long time, and I feel I'm so happy he is where he is, because I always thought Scorpio Sky should have been a bigger name before he was a big name. Like, I think he should have been in the big times years ago. So I'm glad he is where he is now. And to answer your question of how it was, like, I thought it was awesome. Like, Sky, I love working with him, whether it's tag, 6-man, singles. But I was so happy to have a singles match with him because he was somebody I followed forever. And, he's like the all-around athlete. Like, I don't think there's a weakness when it comes to his in-ring game.
Yeah, he's really underrated, isn't he? He can do everything. He's got the look. He can speak. He can do high flying. He's a good ground wrestler. He's got that charisma about him. I think there's a reason a lot of people see him as a future world champion. But not just Scorpio Sky. You did actually wrestle quite a diverse range of people in your short time in AEW Dark, and I think that's why it stands out that to me personally, like as a fan, you had, even in those 4 appearances, you had a good run in AEW Dark, and it's why I'd like to see you come back, because you wrestled, you had Wardlow, Scorpio Sky, Jungle Express, Jurassic Express, and the Gun Club. And I think that's quite a diverse range of opponents for 4 appearances. You've got like a Hall of Famer in Billy Gunn, Wardlow, who is an absolute hoss. So that's like your typical big guy. You've got Scorpio Sky and Jurassic Express. I mean, did you have a favorite match out of those 4?
My favorite one's it was Scorpio Sky for sure. Yeah, that one was my favorite one, but like you were saying, like it was like a wide range of things. Like I'm really happy with my performance because I feel like it's exactly what you said. Like with Scorpio Sky, I got to like I got to show off the most in that match than I did the other ones. But you know, with Wardlow, it wasn't. I got my ass kicked the whole time. But like, and then
most of us would, to be fair.
Yeah. And then, you know, I had the 6-man with Jurassic Express and the tag match with the Gun Club, and like, I feel like it was a good way of showing how diverse I can be, actually, because you know, with the Gun Club, there's Austin Gunn, who's very new to wrestling, but then his tag partner, which is his dad, who's, you know, basically a legend in all of this. Like, I felt like I was able to hang with that team, as well as with Jurassic Express, who are 3 guys that are, you know, with Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus. They're all very different, but in a cool way, they all fit together. And I felt like I was able to with them as well. And same with Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. But I loved that match with Scorpio Sky.
I mean,
can we appreciate as well how jacked is Billy Gunn still for 55 years old?
56.
Yeah, like it's TV doesn't do it justice. It's crazy because like there's some people that look bigger on TV. He actually, in my opinion, looks smaller on TV. I think in person he's bigger.
Wow. That's incredible.
He's so strong, isn't he? Like, I was watching a match with him and Alan Angels on AEW Dark this week, and he just threw Alan Angels around like he was a small child. Like, when he does that Tilt-a-Well slam, he just, oh God, he's so strong for a 56-year-old.
It's incredible. I mean, obviously, I always like to talk about your training as well. So, I mean, was I right in reading you was trained by Lance Storm?
Yes. So,
what was that like?
I started off my wrestling journey with Lance Storm. So in 2008, I went to Calgary, and he still had his Storm Wrestling Academy at the time, which was a 3-month course. And it's funny, the way I found out about it was Chris Jericho is like what I strive to be in wrestling, right? Like, he's the guy I look up to. And so I got away from wrestling during, like, when I went to high school. I just wanted to go out, mess around with friends. I didn't pay attention to wrestling at all. But Jericho came out with his Lion's Tail book, so I started reading it, and I'm 20 years old at this point, and I'm like, oh man, I'm way too old to start wrestling. Like, I'm just yeah, because you know, you hear about like Paige, who I think started at 13, and TJP, who
but those are exceptions, dude. Like,
so like, I'm reading about, and then Jericho in his book says he started at 18. So I'm like, oh God, I'm definitely too old. But he mentions Lance Storm quite a bit, who was 21 when he started. So I just Googled Lance's name. I was very familiar with who he was, but I had no clue he had a wrestling school. So I search it. First thing that comes up is his wrestling school. And, you know, I emailed him like February of that year, and he was like, I have an opening September. And that's how I got started there.
That's so cool that you got the chance to train with Lance Storm. I mean,
I think I find him so underrated as well. I mean,
he is. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. He's such an underrated talent because he's so technically sound. But I think what a lot of people remember about Lance Storm is the fact that he had that boring gimmick in WWE. But the fact that he played that boring gimmick so well proves that he wasn't boring. Like, it's quite ironic when you think of it like that. He was so good at pretending to be boring that he wasn't actually boring. He was such a good character worker. So you got to learn from Lance Storm quite early on in your career. A lot of wrestlers don't get that chance. So I think that's really cool. Do you feel like that helped you? You know, you said like you felt like you were too old to be a wrestler at 20 years old. Do you feel like training with Lance Storm kind of fast-tracked you a bit?
You know, that I don't know, because I was so new and so dumb to everything. I think at the time I thought that, because I remember one thing I was really thinking when I went to the schools. Do you remember how Bret Hart would take those front buckles? Like, somebody would wear front buckle, look like someone murdered him.
Yeah.
So I had this silly goal of I was going to take that so good in front of Lance that he was going to be forced to call me to give me a tryout or hire me or whatever, right? So I do it. It probably looks terrible, but I thought it looked great. And he had zero reaction to it. And I just remember.
Oh, no.
But I love training with Lance. Like when I look back at it, because I've trained with quite a few people now. And when I look back at Lance was great at teaching the fundamentals. He was great at teaching chain wrestling. Like once I left Lance's school and started wrestling elsewhere, like I felt I was pretty strong in chain wrestling, where like I feel like a lot of people lack in that. Like to this day, I feel like a lot of people really do lack in it. But he's great, and he doesn't like BS you. Like he'll straight up tell you, like, if he doesn't think this is for you, he'll straight up tell you he doesn't think it's for you. Or if there's something you need to work on, he'll tell you, like, you need to work on this if you want it to be taken serious. Like
And I mean,
I've noticed on Twitter is quite brutal. So I mean, I don't know that for a second.
It's good that he teaches you those fundamental skills, though, because, like you said, not many people learn chain wrestling, for example. And chain wrestling is one of those things which is quite important to know, because if, say, for example, you're a wrestler and you forget a spot, chain wrestling is one of those things you can always go to until you recover and work out what it is you're meant to be doing. Like, chain wrestling can fill in the spots of a match quite easily. And especially if you forget something, you can just go to the chain wrestling. And if somebody doesn't know it, and you're the one who does, it kind of looks a bit awkward. So it is good, like, that he teaches you these things like chain wrestling, and who better to learn it from than Lance Storm, arguably one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. I think he's up there in the top 10 easy. And we're saying about your training, you then went on to train at the Fale Dojo. What was the difference training with Fale in New Zealand compared to training with Lance Storm?
Oh, it's like completely different mentalities, but like in a good way, in a very good way. So there's a huge gap from that. So 2008 was Lance Storm, 2019 was Bad Luck Fale. So there. And funny enough, the same thing of like, oh my God, I'm too old to like go to this. I was like, no, I'm doing it. But anyway, so Fale I actually knew from years ago, because in that gap I trained with Davey Richards as well. So that was in 2012, and that's when Fale was a young lion for New Japan. So the young lions have to go on excursions, and Fale's excursion was to be in St. Louis with Davey Richards, and kind of like just, me and him just happened to be there by coincidence. So I knew him, and I'd asked him, like, how do I like get my foot in the door with New Japan? And he was like, come train with me, and we'll try to figure something out. I was like, okay. So I go there, train with him, and he's doing it like New Japan style. To my knowledge, New Japan style. I haven't been in the New Japan dojo, so I'm not sure. But that's what he was telling me. So with them, it's very all about heart and things like that. So like we're doing hundreds and hundreds of squats every day, hundreds of lion push-ups every day, like all these other things. And so like the training at the Fale Dojo was about 4 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day at the instructor's discretion. So, and that was 6 days a week. So we would start off with, I don't know how long the run was, but we would run around like Otahu was the city, small city in Auckland. We'd run around that, come back, then we'd do a ton of squats, all those push-ups. So we're maybe 2 hours into the training now. We're all gassed, we're all blown up, and now it's time to go wrestle. So like it's a completely like boot camp, like break you down. Yeah.
Oh God. I don't know if I could do a run once a month, let alone every day around the city. And then how many squats? Because I've heard rumors where you meant to do like 500 to 1,000 squats a day or something like that.
So again, it varied at the instructor's discretion. So Fale, like obviously still being active with New Japan, like when he's there, he trains, but he'll bring in other instructors, which I actually had a relationship with this one, who was Tony Kozina, because he was also in St. Louis at the time. So he was the head instructor. And so it was kind of just up to him what he wanted to do that day. So we were very taught, like, you need to be, we also had chores and stuff. That's something I left out. So we'd wake up at 8 o'clock. There'd be an hour where we'd have to clean the dojo or whatever it was, because again, that's mentality of New Japan.
Paying respect.
Yes.
Respect.
Yeah. So if we slipped up at any time, so let's say like, you know, Tony was very about like the dishes have to be clean because there's 12 of us at the time, or 13 of us, sharing this tiny kitchen, so it could get super messy super quick. So if like we left a dirty dish, if Tony wanted us to do 500 squats because somebody left a dirty dish, now it's 1,000. You know what I mean? So it's there's big penalties for like these little things, but it's just because they strive for perfection, and that's what.
It sounds more like a military kind of training where you're like a band of brothers kind of thing, where if one of you messes up, everybody gets punished for it. But it works. I can't imagine New Japan not doing that, because, like you said, it teaches respect, and I think it's important to learn, like, to teach wrestlers about presenting yourself outside of the ring as well as inside the ring too. And I feel like New Japan does that really well. So from the dojo, you graduated from the Fale Dojo, and you've actually had a fair few matches with New Japan in New Japan US, I believe.
Yes.
And some in Australia.
Right.
So what's the experience been like so far? Finally getting that foot in the door with New Japan, and what was it like when you first debuted for them? It
was surreal. Like, it was very, very cool thing, because like New Japan is like there's a few promotions like I looked at and I was like, man, New Japan is just, it's a great one, but it's one I'll never be in. Like, I just had, for some reason, that was in my head, and like for it to be actually happening, like I was like, man, this is really cool, like to be on like this big stage like this. And you know, they brought me to Australia for the first time, so I'd never been to Australia, so I was already excited about just being in a different country and stuff. And you know, the like kind of like how I said with with AEW, where everybody's like a very like, they're all out to help each other. It's the exact same thing with New Japan. It's very, very cool. Like, you have, obviously, like there's a bigger like respect like thing there, like because they're so huge on it. But you know, same thing with like Gato and Jado, like they watch everything. And like I walked up to them afterwards, like, oh, do you have anything? And like, you know, I guess I just have this like thought in my head, like, oh, they're gonna be like, oh, it was okay, it sucked or whatever. But no, they sit and talk to you for a while, and they're like, this is what we think could you know, be better on, and all that stuff. So I love it there too. Like AEW, New Japan, easily the best places to work.
Well, the good thing about that is New Japan and AEW have a bit of a working relationship together. So like with Lance Archer doing New Japan, and Moxley, you know, he's doing New Japan too. If you was to ever sign with one or the other, you'd probably still be able to, you know, get that thing where you can work with both companies. So you say AEW New Japan's your goal, then that seems like a pretty sweet deal. You might end up working for both down the line.
Yeah, dude, that would be the dream. That would be the dream for sure.
And what are the New Japan goals? I mean, would you like to maybe be in the G1, for instance? Is that a goal?
I for a New Japan goal, Super Juniors, I think, is what I personally, and like you know, they were gonna do this whole new NJPW, so New Japan America stuff, and then the pandemic happened, so it really like kind of just shut everything down, to where like they're now having the like the LA tapings and stuff like that, the Strong and all that stuff. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, so I was hoping that maybe with the New Japan of America stuff, with me being in America, that like, but I think, you know, wrestling across the globe is like thrown this huge wrench, and everybody's trying to like kind of figure it out, and is still in the process of figuring it out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't think anyone really knows how long it's going to be until wrestling gets back to normal. I know there's been, well, it was announced earlier today that AEW will be bringing fans back to Dallas Place starting in a couple of weeks. So that's really cool. So that's like a sign that things are getting better. And GCW, for example, on the East Coast, they've been having the socially distanced shows. You've had Warrior Wrestling did a really cool socially distanced show recently. So things are starting to get back. But in the UK especially, I mean, it seems like we're still at least 6 months off to a year off before having any kind of live events. So I don't know what it's like in America at the moment, but for us, it still seems quite far off.
Yeah. Well, here in America, it depends what state you're in.
Right.
So me being in California, I don't follow, there's 50 of them, so I can't follow everything that's on, but here in California, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Like, our governor's pretty like, you need to meet this requirement, this, and this requirement before anything happens. So like, for example, the gyms here in, so I live in San Jose, which is Santa Clara County. The gyms here in Santa Clara County, they've been shut down since March, and they opened up, like, I don't know what day it was, but let's say Monday, they were like, okay, you guys meet the guidelines to open up. That Wednesday, they shut down.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a good job you got the home gym.
Yeah, I got really.
Dude, so your gyms are still closed in San Jose then? So yeah, because I was opened up July 4th, Independence Day. So yeah, I was opened up on July 4th, and they've been open since then. But even like, I went to the gym today, and there's people there, but like, no one's really social distancing. You don't even have to wear a mask or anything, and it just seems it seems like it was a bit rushed even here, like reopening the gyms. So maybe it's not a bad thing that they're not open again yet, especially if you've got your own home gym. But speaking of the UK, I mean, I know I mentioned like it might be a while until things are back to normal. But have you ever had like any kind of goal to come to the UK and wrestle?
I actually have gone to the UK.
You have?
Summer of 17, yes.
Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah,
what was that like? And do you want to come back?
Oh, dude, I loved it. I'm sure a lot's changed since I was last there as far as the wrestling scene goes. But I went there with I was tagging with Ricky Starks at the time, who's like brand AEW roster. So we were tagging, and we actually did quite a few shows there that I was like really surprised that we got on. So I believe we did 2 Progress shows. We did OTT. We did a few Fight Clubs, and then there was a few other promotions, but those were like the big ones that really
you did 3 of the big ones, really. Yeah, Fight Club, Progress, and OTT are like in the top 5 companies in the UK. So that's
and they did even more now, haven't they, as well? Like, I mean, obviously, since you've last come, it's almost like every city's got a promotion now. So there's just, I think it's ever since obviously with like British Strong Style, it's just all kicked off, and now everyone's got a promotion, and there's so many places to work in the UK now. It's unbelievable. I mean, every city you go to has got a promotion.
Did you have a favourite city in the UK?
I liked London. The only reason I liked London was because things were open later. I really enjoyed the UK in general, but we stayed in Wolverhampton, and then we would go to like Birmingham to the bull ring just to like do something on our days off.
Really cool though. I love the bull ring.
Yeah, but like I want to say everything was closed at like 5 or 6, and like to me and Ricky, that was very weird because like here in the States, like things are open until like 11 p.m. So like, yeah, there's
only people who aren't from the UK like London. I found, like, if you're from the UK, everyone hates Londoners. They're just the worst. They're just miserable. Like the only people I can like kind of liken them to is New Yorkers. Like New Yorkers and Londoners have the same mentality. Like they're always in a rush. They're always a bit angry about something. But the further up north you get, the nicer we are. So
I don't know how far we went to Manchester. I really liked Manchester as well.
Manchester's great.
Yeah, but as far as I think that's where we spent most of our time. Like, you know, we did shows kind of in like smaller towns that like I've wrote all my matches down so I could tell you if I were to get this like thing that I wrote up, but it's escaping my brain right now. But I really, really enjoyed the UK over, Nando's, which I feel like maybe is just another like, oh, Americans like it, but the people who live there.
We all do it. It's like if you're British and you go to America, obviously the equivalent of that for me is I love In-N-Out. And you know, when I went to In-N-Out in America, it changed my life. I was like, this is the best burger I've ever had. And any American I speak to, like, oh, In-N-Out's crap. You want to eat Whataburger or whatever? And I'm like, what? Like, In-N-Out was amazing. I didn't like Whataburger. But yeah, every American that comes to the UK, they always love Nando's.
I've only been to Nando's 3 times. Is there not a Nando's in America? I thought it was worldwide Nando's.
I think there's like a few like randomly like spread, but like it would be like in a small town in like Ohio or something. If I had to guess, I just had to guess.
I think there's some in Canada. I think there's only a couple in America, and I think there's some in Australia, whereas it is actually a UK chain nowadays. So yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's not actually a bad place. It's just because if you're in the UK, there's one at the top of every street. But, you know, I can imagine it is quite nice when an American comes over and they're like, oh, this is all right. You know, it's decent food. But like I said, it's the same thing when we go over there and we're just going crazy for like In-N-Out burger. Like, now I'm talking about it, I really want one, and I don't know if I'll get to have one for like another year. But
you know what I found was funny? So a lot of the foreigners that come here, like whether it's Australia, UK, whatever it is, seem to really love IHOP, and like I don't understand that. I don't understand.
I went to WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. Yeah, and before the show, we went to an IHOP and got some food. Straight after, we went to IHOP, got some food. And for breakfast, we went to IHOP as well. So it was like we lived in IHOP. And I can't explain why I liked it. I just know I did.
Yeah, there's 2 guys at the Fale Dojo who are from Australia, and like they love IHOP, and I still keep in contact with them. And like, if ever I'm talking to them, like they have like IHOP mugs and stuff. And
I need to get one of those next time. Get some IHOP t-shirts, get some merch.
I've never been. Why didn't we go when we went to America a couple years ago? Why did you take me?
I didn't see any IHOPs in Chicago.
Oh, they're everywhere. I think it's they're everywhere in the States anyways. Like there's some places in the States where it's like how you're mentioning In-N-Out Burger. For years it was only in Southern California, so not even all of California, just Southern. And it recently is like in some other places, but like for example, if you went to Florida, there's no In-N-Outs there. So it's
that made me really sad, because I thought they were in every state. And I went to New York first, and the second place I went was Texas. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Surely they have In-N-Out in every place. And then I went to Florida the year after, and I was really excited to get In-N-Out burger. And they were like, oh, no, they're not here.
Yeah.
What are you on about? They're not here? You only have them in certain states. That doesn't make any sense. They were like, no, dude, it's like a southern/west coast kind of thing. Like, that, what? So yeah, I've put it on my list. Next time I go to America, I'm going to a state that has In-N-Out. So
well, that's it now. We need to just create a list of where we're going in America based on burgers. That's it now.
I'm serious, dude. Like, the next place I go is going to have In-N-Out burger, and it's going to be amazing because it's been 4 years since I last had one. So what's the best burger in America to get anyway? Like, for when we go back, I know we're not even talking about wrestling anymore. I don't care. Talking about more. Where should we go? Where is the best burger in your opinion?
So I lived in Austin, Texas for a bit, and Austin, Texas is amazing for food. I would say that's a place where you could go to Austin and hit up a bunch of places that have great burger spots. So that they have In-N-Out, so you can get your fix of that there. Austin specific place called P. Harry's, which is only in Austin. So if you go anywhere else in Texas, they won't know what you're talking about. Right. But so then there's another place called Hop Dottie, which is like I want to say like a more luxury type burger. It's way more expensive because it's gourmet burger. Yeah, there you go, gourmet. Yeah, so one of those places where it's like it's $10 for the burger, $6 for the fries, $4. So you have like 20. But it's really, really good. So I'd say those 3 places for sure.
Right, Jamie, we'll check those out.
So we're going to watch in Texas then, basically.
Yeah. So it's going to, as soon as this travel ban's over and we can go to America again, we've been saying like we really wanted to do WrestleMania this year. And determined to do it again next year because it's just such an experience. So have you had the chance to do a WrestleMania weekend yet? As a wrestler or just as a fan?
So I've done a few where like I've gone to them. So I always wanted to go to a WrestleMania just to go to one as a fan. So I went to WrestleMania 24. And then from like WrestleMania 30 to 34, 35, I believe, I went to every one like consecutively. So I was actually, Ricky and I were actually in Rusev's entrance for Mania 31. Like you can tell, yeah. It looks like there's some technology that can like, really zoom in. You'll never be able to tell, but we're the soldiers for Rusev when they comes out, and we're holding the
his tank.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
That's one of the coolest entrances in wrestling history when Rusev comes out on his tank. Like that was amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny. So if you watch the I don't know what the program is called, like maybe it's Mania 31, 24 or whatever it is, but there's a brief period because Ricky and I, like, we've been extras quite a bit at this time, so we kind of like we know like there's this rule and this rule, or like these unwritten rules of like don't do this, but we kind of were just like, oh, we're just gonna do this now. So like we started watching the show from the gorilla position, and this is like for a split second it's on the that programming, and like Ricky and I are just watching it, and we're watching the DX NWO stuff that happened with Sting and Triple H, and we're like, man, that was really good, and we're so into it. We look back, John Cena's behind us, AJ Lee's behind us, like just the big name rosters are like, oh shoot, I don't think we're supposed to be here, and then like we and then another funny story about that is because we were dressed in the soldier uniforms the whole time, and we were kind of just all in line waiting, like Ricky, myself, the other extras, and I think it was Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon comes walking up to us, and she starts shaking all of our hands, and I'm wondering, why is she doing this? And then by the time she gets to me and Ricky, she's like, thank you for your service. And like,
what did you say? Did you?
Yeah,
no problem, ma'am. Anytime. Yeah.
I was so like, I don't know what's going on. Like I just don't like that out of my head. And then when she walked off, I was like, oh God, she thinks we're real soldiers. And like
that's so cringy. I don't know what I'd have done. I think I'd have had to go along with it and just be like, yep, no problem. Yep, you're welcome. Yep.
Yeah.
And just pretend.
I think had I that like come to me quick, like, oh, she thinks you're a soldier, I would have just been like, you're welcome. Like that would have just been.
Oh, that's so good. So not only have you been to WrestleMania, you've been part of an entrance at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So like I'll play with my friends, and like, every now and then I'll be like, oh, what's the biggest crowd you worked in front of? And then they'll say whatever number it is. I'm like, oh, for me, 75,000. So
just 75,000, nothing too big. You just
We're allowed to watch WrestleMania 31 now when we finish, because I'm going to go and see this now. I'm literally going to be pausing every second of the frame now to see you and Ricky. I've got to do it. That's it now. You've ruined my night, Aaron. That's going to be my night now. I've got to bed.
It's going to our heads, so you'd have to like really, really know it's us. But I remember we're in shirts in black shirts and the camo pants, and that like we're in front of Gorilla and all those, like there's just a bunch of people behind us, but you can see us for a quick second.
I'm gonna get a screenshot from Jamie later saying, "Found him." You circled.
Yeah, I'm up for work at like 5:30 in the morning. I won't be going to bed. I'll be up all night just pausing my TV. That'll be it now. I'll be done at work tomorrow. I'm gonna get a screenshot now.
Before we start wrapping things up, I know, like we said earlier, it's hard to say what's really going on in wrestling right now, but is there any appearances coming up that you know of, or do you know where you might be showing up first?
No, I don't. Just because, with the pandemic myself, I'm trying to be as careful as I can as well.
Yeah.
So with AEW, the reason I was like, well, obviously it's AEW, so of course I'm going to be like, yeah, let's do it. But they're also taking very, very good precautions. Like the second we get there, we test. So like and then they put bans on us, and it's like, you're not allowed in this certain area unless you have that ban saying I've tested negative, and we'll do that. So like, you know, I don't know with independents how it is. So I don't know if it's just a thermometer check or whatever it is, but you know, I want the like full test and know that everybody's being tested. So that's what
you can't be too safe, you know. You've got to, as a professional wrestler, your income and your career is wrestling. So you want to make sure, like, you don't want to go to a show and get ill or anything. You want to go and know that the testing's good, because this is your job. And like anywhere else you'd work, you'd hope that the testing would be good too. So that's completely understandable. I know it sucks that you don't know where you'll be wrestling next, but I've got no doubt that, like you said, when things do start opening back up, we might see you pop up in AEW. We might see you, we'll hopefully definitely see you back in New Japan at least. I think I'm really keen to see what you can do in New Japan. Like you said, it's somewhere you've wanted to wrestle for a long time. And I think the fact that you've been through the dojo, you've had some really good matches there already. And hopefully with New Japan USA starting up when everything comes out of pandemic, maybe that's the place that you can thrive and make your own.
Yeah. I'm exactly what you said is exactly what I'm hoping for. So yeah.
That'd be really cool, man.
And selfishly, we also want to see you in the UK again, don't we, Callum?
Yeah, definitely. We've got to see you in the UK.
I'd love to come back to the UK, but yeah, with the pandemic, who knows? Hopefully next year, but
we'll maybe see you in a few years. Who knows? But if not, we'll just Skype you before then and do another interview. So, do you have any merch or anything that you'd like to plug, or any socials that you'd like to get out there?
You know, Twitter and Instagram. It's just my name. So Twitter is at AARONSOLOW. Instagram at AARON_SOLOW. And I do have a pro wrestling tees store, which I believe is just / Aaron Solow.
It is. I checked earlier.
Put it on there, but you know, if anybody did want some merch, like that's where you would get it.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
I'll buy from them, won't I?
Yeah. Jamie buys all of the merch for the guests. It's why he never has any money, because everyone he promises he'll buy a t-shirt of, and he always does. So at the end of the month, he's never got any money. But that's his fault.
It's my little thank you, you know. And so, Aaron, I will be buying some of your merch from Pro Wrestling Tees. It's what I do.
How nice of you, Jamie. And you can get me one too. Thank you.
Yeah. I won't be paying my rent for the next few weeks, but I will be doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, so much for joining us today. Absolute pleasure talking to you about AEW, about New Japan, and how you got started in wrestling. I think it's really cool you got to train with Lance Storm. It's just such a cool story, hearing about how you got into it. But hopefully when wrestling starts up again, we can have you on again and actually talk about what you're doing at the time and where you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for joining us. We've been Ringsiders Wrestling, and we'll see you next time.
Cool. Thanks, guys.